Welcome to another episode in our series, Interviews with CKI Leaders. I'm Jennifer Hethcox, the District Administrator for the Carolinas District. During this episode, we are going to hear from members of the Circle K International Board. So let's start off, and I'm going to let each of you introduce yourself. Tell us your name, your school, and the office that you hold, and any other information that you'd like to share with us. So welcome.
Hi, Jen. Thanks. I'll kick it off. My name's Tana Early. I'm serving as International President this year. I attend the University of Alabama. I'm studying environmental science, and this is my 7th year in the Kiwanis family.
Here we go. Hi, Jen. Hi, everyone. My name is Joey Kane. I'm serving as the International Vice President this year. I attend New York University. I'm a math major there, and this is also my 7th year in the Kiwanis family.
And hi, everyone. My name is Tyler Kearns. I currently serve as your international trustee. I go to St. Lawrence University in the New York District, where I study conservation biology, and this is my 11th year in the Kiwanis family.
Wow, awesome. All right. Well, so I want to dive in as we're focusing on leadership and give you all a moment just to talk to our members about what your role in Circle K International is. So Tana, you want to start us off as International President?
Sure. Yeah, so my role as International President, I'm really the person directing, steering the ship, as we say. I steer the board, and we agree on, objectives for the year, strategic planning, how we want to interact with our districts, how we want to help our clubs, how we want to help our committees. So I'll leave the committee part to Joey. And the rest of the International Council. So the International Council makes up the International Board, which is myself, Joey, 8 trustees, and 33 governors. So we together are a governing body in Circle K. We pass legislation, so to speak, in our bylaws and policy code. Gosh, we do so much. A lot of the work that the International Board does happens kind of in our committee structure. So I'll let Joey touch on that. But yeah, it's pretty much just keeping things moving, getting people where they need to be in the organization. And that's pretty much my role.
That's great. It's like being the CEO of a company for sure.
Yeah. Similar,
yes.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. All right, Joey, do you want to tell us a little bit about what it's like to be Vice President and what your role entails?
Sure, yeah. So I like to think that I have 3 main hats. The first one is with the International Board, taking meeting minutes, being there to help Tana, serving on the executive committee, anything else staff-wise or anything that needs to be executive decisions, I'm there with Tana to help make. The second one is the district secretaries and treasurers. I'm kind of the point person on the board for those people. The governors have their trustees, but the district secretaries and treasurers have their trustees, but they also have me to go to hold forums and things like that, and to connect them when they need help with things or need help with dues or anything like that. And the third one, as Tana mentioned, is the committees. And this is by far the most demanding one for me. But we have 8 international committees this year. I won't run through all of those. I think you can find those on the website if you're curious about what they do. But yeah, so essentially I get to attend those meetings, make sure that the chairs and liaison are set up with what they need. And if they're ready to pass anything out, say put on the website or hold any events or anything like that, I'm the one who pulls that into the executive committee and says, okay, this committee wants to do this. Let's set this up for the next board meeting for the next month or whenever we're ready to do that. So yeah, I like to say that my job is connecting people, whether it be district secretaries and treasurers, committees to the board, or the board to itself with other things that might be going on. But yeah.
Awesome. And the committees are made up of remind our members who makes up your committees.
Of course, yeah. So the committees are chaired by members from all over the world. Any general member can apply to be a committee chair or a committee member. Typically, committees are made up of a chair and anywhere from 4 to 6 members. Yeah, so you should definitely check those out. The applications generally open within the 2 or 3 weeks following CKIX. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to get more involved.
Yes, that's a great leadership opportunity for all of our members. And you don't have to be an officer or anything like that to be on a committee.
No,
right?
Yeah, there are no requirements whatsoever. Just passion.
That's great. That's awesome. All right. And last but certainly not least, Tyler, would you like to tell us a little bit about your role as a trustee?
Yeah, so as an international trustee, I counsel 4 different districts. For this year, I counsel the Carolinas, Pacific Northwest, Utah, Idaho, and Western Canada districts. And we're kind of the bridge between the districts and international. So anything that's happening internationally, we communicate to our governors and the rest of their boards. And we kind of bring anything that's happening within our districts back to the international board in case anything needs to be done or anything that needs to be helped with them. When it comes to the governors of these districts, I'm in a lot of communication with them, making sure that they are doing as well as they can be, both in professionally within Circle K and just as people and students, really helping the districts with whatever problems they may have, and doing a lot of background work to make sure that I can help out the districts, their leaders, and their clubs as much as I can from the international side. As a trustee, I also serve as a liaison to one of our international committees. I serve as the liaison to the brand new Research and Development Committee, which is all about analyzing all the different aspects of Circle K. As a liaison, I serve as basically the secretary of the committee. I take the meeting notes and all the minutes when we have to pass anything that needs approval. I also kind of act as the bridge between the committee and international to see if anything that we come up with within our committee needs to be brought back to the board to be discussed or even put into place. So that's basically the rundown of what I do as a trustee.
That's great. That's awesome.
One more thing, sorry. Just
Yeah.
a question that I get a lot as president is, what does the I-Board as a whole do? We're definitely greater than the sum of our parts, so you may not get the best picture from just asking each of us about our respective roles, but just a couple of highlights, things that we work on. We work on trainings and education for our members, so that's something that our committees work a lot on. We work on sustainable development within the organization. We work on, like Tyler said, research and development, service. We do just big picture kind of things, partnerships with other service organizations or other big operations that can help CKI. There's just a ton of things that you can do as an international body. We work with our international clubs. So don't just like see our positions and think, wow, that's it, because there's a lot that's below the surface.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. That is awesome. All right. So I think collectively, the three of you have 25 years of Kiwanis family experience, if my math was correct, that I did while you were introducing yourselves. So what I would love to know, and you all have a chance to share, is how those roles that you've had in all of the different Kiwanis family branches has kind of prepared you for the role you hold today. So would you like to start us off, Ms. President?
Sure. Yeah. So when I was in Key Club, I served as a 2-year club president. And this was honestly one of the most transformative kind of positions I've ever held in my life. I remember, as a high schooler, making agendas, planning service projects, planning fundraising, building our club up. All kinds of those things. And I honestly feel like that role prepared me the most for this one as international president. They're pretty similar roles. And I felt like I could just do so much as a Key Club president. I had a lot of autonomy. I had community leaders reaching out to me for things, and it was just the best feeling. I was on top of the world as a high schooler. So that was something that was just really impactful for me in my Kiwanis family journey.
All right, Joey?
Sure, yeah. So for me, I would say I was in Key Club for 4 years, but I never got too terribly involved. I was the treasurer of my club. I never knew what the district and international levels were. It wasn't until Circle K that I was president of my club that I started realizing, oh, hey, look, we have a district here. They're supporting us for anything that we need. And then I came to CKIX and saw, oh my gosh, okay, wait, this is so much larger than just New York. And after CKIX, my freshman year, I applied to be finance chair. And that's really what opened up my view to like, okay, the international board and what each person does and whether or not like I was quote unquote qualified for it. And I realized something really important of that is that there are no requirements for positions in Circle K. Being a club president, being an LTG is going to be the best preparer for any position that you want to go for. Because if you're working down on the ground level, getting your hands dirty, planning service projects, recruiting members, then you know what it feels like to go through the hardships of building a club and recruiting people. And honestly, I think that is what you need to excel in any role in CKI.
Definitely having that passion is so important. That can help you along the way. All right, Tyler.
So I actually started my K family journey back in Builders Club back in middle school. And in 8th grade, I served as my club's president, which was really fun. It was really a great opportunity for somebody so young to start developing their leadership skills. And then I moved on to Key Club, where I served as a 2-term lieutenant governor for New York. And I governed like 9 clubs, maybe 10. It was a while ago, but that really also kept developing those leadership skills and those different leadership abilities that I started learning in Builders Club. I stayed within New York when I went to college, so Key Club and Builders Club really helped me make a lot of connections when I moved on to being a Circle K lieutenant governor in my freshman year of college. Basically, recruited as a lieutenant governor a month into college to serve the Northern Division up in New York. And I definitely say all 3 experiences were very unique from each other, but my time as a lieutenant governor for Circle K was definitely one that most prepared me to be trustee. My division before I came in was without a lieutenant governor for 5 years. So that was a giant challenge, especially for somebody so young and so new to the organization as I was. But that definitely prepared me for the challenges that I was going to face as a trustee when it came to things like club building, communication problems with the K family, because I experienced a lot of these things as a Circle K lieutenant governor in my own division. So my job as trustee and my job as a lieutenant governor kind of mirrored each other very conveniently. So I felt very confident coming into this role after basically all the K family experiences that I've had.
That's great. And that is the one great thing about the Kiwanis family, is that you can truly start in elementary school and work your way up and be in it and gain all of those leadership skills. One of my K kids said, there should be a Kiwanis club in every city and we should all be in Kiwanis. He was so excited and so cute, but it was a great opportunity for them to understand that this is your club and you're getting a chance to lead it. It's not led by teachers. And even as young as elementary school, our president was calling the meeting to order and we talked about parliamentary procedure and just building on that, those opportunities are amazing within the Kiwanis family. So that is great. I'm so excited to have so many former K family members on our international board. I think that helps to continue that legacy of knowledge. So it's so important. All right. So tell us a little bit about why you wanted to serve in this position. I know some of you have talked about kind of just continuing your leadership experience, but what was it about the role that you're in today that said, you know what, this is where I need to be to serve this organization, and this is why I chose this position. So Tana, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So like I said earlier, when I was in Key Club, I was a Key Club president. And I loved that role. And I knew that I wanted to continue in Circle K. It was only until like my last year in Key Club that I figured out, like Joey, District International. I was like, whoa, I want to do that, So when I got into Circle K, I was like, I definitely want to go into the district. And then when I got on district, I wanted to go to international. So I was a lieutenant governor, I was a trustee. And I realized that, those roles were great. And I loved serving my clubs in that capacity. But I really missed that kind of executive privilege that I got in Key Club when I was a president in Key Club. And I really loved leading a board, and I loved being able to steer the ship, and feed off other people's energies, encourage other people's ideas to come to fruition. That's really what I love about this role. And I also had ideas of my own that I wanted to see. I wanted to make my legacy, like you said, in Circle K. So that's kind of why I went for this position.
That's great. Awesome. All right, Joey.
Sure. I'll bank off of Tana's response here. I was not ready to lead the ship, but I knew I wanted to be in a, I knew I wanted to be in a position where I could help as much as I could and I could see all the moving parts. And that's where being vice president was kind of like glowing as the optimal role for me, because when I was a committee chair, I worked a lot with other committee chairs and other committees. I'm like, oh, okay, what are you guys working on? Oh, that's interesting. Even though my field is finance, like I was intrigued by what KFR was doing. I was intrigued by what the membership committee was doing. And so I saw the opportunity as vice president to not only be able to see all the moving parts, but also be able to grab talent from just about every district. I mean, we have, I think, 43 people that make up the international committees. And it is just bursts of passion and ideas from every direction. And it's honestly like a phenomenal thing that I can bring to the international board, because there's no way that I could have come up with like half of these ideas by myself. But so I love working with other people from all over the place. And yeah, it really was, and it really is the perfect position for me.
That's amazing. That's great. All right, Tyler.
So when I decided to run for trustee, one of the main things that I wanted to do is start making a difference within our organization. I wanted to be part of that collective that can really make an impact. And that's when I found myself really trying to run for the international board and be a part of it, because with all the problems that we had within the past year with things like coronavirus, with all the school shutdowns, stuff like that, there was definitely a need for strong leadership, strong ideals, and strong new projects to bring on. And I thought that I brought that. So I took the chance and I ran for trustee. Definitely think that I'm in the right position right now. I think I am doing a good job when it comes to the things that I am helping my districts with. We're seeing, even in the unprecedented times of the pandemic, like we're still seeing club growth. We're still seeing clubs connect in ways that we never saw before, either through Zoom, through virtual activities. And back in the spring, when I was trying to decide to run for this, I was like, this is something that I think that I can help my districts with whatever ones I get assigned as a trustee, and I can bring new projects, new ideas to really help them through this really troubling time for our entire organization as a whole.
And I think that's one of the really neat things about being on the international board, is being able to see across the whole organization and connect people. So, you know, being a district administrator, I get to work with all the other district administrators, and I, you know, prod and poke them for good ideas, and we share things across the way. And that's how great ideas continue to develop. And so all of your work and keeping those, you know, just innovations at top of mind is so important, and that will help us as an organization as well. Well, great. So think back across your term. It's not over yet. You still have, what, 6 months maybe or so, a little bit more than that left. But I'm sure by now you've learned something from your position. And what is something that, you know, is important that you've learned so far about your position that someone watching this series might think, okay, I need to maybe hone in on that particular skill if I want to run for international president or vice president or trustee? So what is some advice that you might be able to give those folks thinking about it?
I know exactly what I want to say on this. So for me, the biggest part is just delegation. This is something that I struggled with coming into the term, because I'm very much a hands-on, let's just do it all right now. And for me, you know, it was tough to take a step back and trust that, you know, I had a lot of experts on the board that knew what they were doing, and were completely competent in, you know, accomplishing the tasks that needed to get done. So for me, that was such a huge, valuable skill to learn. And I think that's something that will really carry on into the future. Because you do learn to trust the people that you work with, and, you know, celebrate the accomplishments that, you know, they make and the work that they put in. And the biggest part is just keeping everything organized. Like Joey said, you know, connecting people when, you know, person A is working on this. Oh, person B is also working on something similar. You should connect them. And that's I think that the most important role of a president is just making sure that everything moves, and everyone knows, you know, what's going on. So definitely an important skill that I've learned.
Great. Yeah, delegation is definitely an important one. It's a hard one for people that are like control freaks. Type A. That's right. That's right. All right. Joe?
Yeah, for me, I one soft skill first, but public speaking has been a huge one that I've like significantly better at because of this. I always used to like be super nervous going into job interviews, anything over Zoom, anything like speaking in front of people. And now I feel like I hop on a Zoom call and I'm like, yeah, okay, what am I talking about today? I got this. But one skill within your leadership also that I think is really important is how to empower others. Just working with all the committees, there's a really fine line between, okay, I don't think that this is logistically possible, and okay, maybe this hasn't been logistically possible in the past, but let's try it now. And that's something that I've learned a lot in my term, is not to just go, no, last year this didn't work, let's not do it. And instead go, okay, well, let's look at that, what happened last year. Let's learn from it and let's try something new. And yes, instilling that in other people, in people all across the districts through the committees has been a phenomenal learning experience for me.
That's great. And Joey, you should definitely consider being a district administrator once you're out, because you sound just like my college mentor district administrator. So
I appreciate that. There we go.
And I will say that's an important thing, you know, for people that are more type A type things, you know, you must say, no, it's not going to work. And you don't mean to do it in a rude or an abrupt way, but it's like, you know, I've seen that time and time again, but sometimes you have to let people experiment, and they might take a different path that actually leads to something great. So that's a hard skill to have. So if you have that naturally, that is actually very commendable. So
well,
congratulations.
It was not natural. This is something that I've been building throughout my term as well.
That's great. No, that's great. All right, Tyler, what have you learned so far that you'd like to share?
So on top of what Tana and Joey have said, one of the main things that I have learned and developed so far in my term is to really have faith in my ideals and my leadership. Tana can definitely attest to this. In the beginning, I kind of had sort of imposter syndrome of thinking, am I really supposed to be here? And I know that that's something that a lot of our leaders, like throughout the organization, will have at least once. But even just being within this organization means that you've taken the first step. Really, everybody kind of doesn't think about that, but even just being in this organization means that you've taken that first step towards student leadership and really making a difference as a young adult. When you're in this organization, no idea is a bad idea. Always have faith in it. It might not be the original idea, but there's always something that can come out of it. So that's always something that people need to keep in mind, is just having faith and having confidence in your ideas, your leadership, your experience, and within yourself.
Something that I'd quickly like to bounce off of what Tyler said is like the idea of failure, noting that we're all student leaders, and honestly, the point sometimes is to fail and to learn from those mistakes. As crazy as it sounds, you know, what Joey was saying earlier about empowering people and, you know, kind of taking a step back and saying, oh, well, this didn't work before, you know, it's also like letting people experiment. And, you know, if you think something's going to fail and it does, that's okay, you know, move on. That's part of student leadership. So.
And that's a important life lesson as well, which actually takes us into our next question. So Circle K has prepared many of us for what we do in the workforce. So think about all of your roles in Circle K, your experience in Circle K, and how that has helped prepare you maybe as a college student, but also something that has given you for a future employer.
I'm sure you guys are tired of me starting things off. So if anyone else wants to do it after this one, go ahead. But I'd say resiliency for me is big. Kind of like what I was saying earlier with failure, you know, taking things in stride is really important, especially in Circle K. You know, we only have like a year to accomplish everything that we want to. And, you know, when things don't work out, it can feel like really frustrating and like nothing's working out, you know, and that's okay. You just have to keep going and understand that if it's meant to work out, it will. If not, you know, maybe it's meant to work out next year, you know, like Joey was saying. So I think that that's a huge one for me. A big life lesson that I've taken away from this is roll with the punches. It's okay. You're not going to be perfect.
That's great. Yes, that's very important.
Big one for me is just staying calm, cool, collected, and still making like important decisions that are correct decisions. A lot of times in this role, I think Tana can attest to this too, and Tyler as well. A lot of little things come up that you could go, oh my God, this is a disaster. Oh my God, this is over. It's done. I can't do this. And I would say after, now this is going to sound bad coming from us, right? But like everything's okay in the end. But after a handful of those, you kind of realize like, okay, there's no reason to freak out over this. Let me just assess everything that's going on and let's make the best decision possible. And I think that has helped me a lot, especially with my internship experience, when like I have a deadline that's coming up and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this. Or I don't know if we can get that done, this and that. I don't even know if this is possible. Instead, taking a step back and going, okay, that's okay. If they asked us to do it, if this is meant to happen, then we can figure out a way, and let's figure it out. Yeah, I think staying calm and making those big decisions is definitely the biggest one for me.
That's very important, definitely. All right, Tyler, would you like to finish this off?
Yeah, so kind of tacking on to what Tana and Joey say, one of the big things that I learned is innovation. Really just being able to, like Tana said, roll with the punches, but I kind of take it in a different way. Being able to like really fully assess the situation, being like, what has gone wrong in the past, what could go wrong, and really being able to just roll with it and being able to build on it for future endeavors and future attempts. Innovation, especially this year, has been something that I think almost every Circle K leader has learned in some capacity. It is definitely something that I learned throughout my entire Circle K experience, especially being lieutenant governor and a trustee, is just being able to look back at what we've done, what can we make better, and what can we make more successful for the next time we ever try it.
Good. That's great. Well, those are all very important. I will say, as someone in the workforce full time, those are all things that are very important life lessons, but also things that even as an elementary school teacher, I teach to our kids that are important skills that they need to have as they move on. Before we run out of time, Tana, can you tell us a little bit about the process for running for international board?
Sure. So when you decide you want to run, definitely reach out to your current trustee, and kind of if you're running for trustee, that's a good idea, or reach out for whatever international position you're considering. It's really important to hear it from the person who's currently in the role, kind of what the definition is, because you can read it online, but that really doesn't encompass everything. So I'd say set up a meeting with them, share, why you want to run for the role, what questions you have, start there. And then I'd also, just take some time to assess why you do want to run for the role, what you would accomplish, what you want to leave as your legacy, as you said earlier. Then the logistical process is to be endorsed by your district at district convention and House of Delegates. So you can definitely reach out to your governor for help on that, or your district administrator. And then once that process is done, there's an international verification kind of process. You have to fill out a code of conduct, you have to fill out a service agreement, those kinds of things, submit candidate literature, other logistical things. It's about, I think, 60 days, 90 days before convention, somewhere in that time frame. All the information is going to be on our international website when we get closer, probably February, March, or earlier. Timeframes. And then at international convention, you give speeches, you answer questions from the delegating body, and then the House votes on, who is going to be installed in office. So the way it works for trustees, the top 8 are chosen, and they're assigned any districts that the president and vice president see fit. So.
All right. Well, that's great. Well,
Just to add one thing on there too.
Oh,
Jen,
yeah,
sorry.
please
Always feel like you can reach out to us. If you're interested in running for president, shoot an email to Tana. If you're interested in running for vice president, shoot an email to me. Interested in running for trustee, email Tyler. I often feel like people think that we're too busy to talk to people about these things. And that is the most ridiculous thing that I've heard. We love hearing that people are interested in running for international office. Because it not only does it mean that we have new passionate members coming up, but it also, we see that a future for CKI, which is the greatest thing that I think I could think about going forward. So yeah, just reach out,
Part of our finding replacements for ourselves. So
there you go.
That's right. And it shows initiative that you are thinking ahead. You're not waiting to the last minute, all of those kind of things, and making sure that you're a serious candidate, which is also, important. So I think that's great. Well, I am so grateful for your time today. And I know that all of our members are so excited and so glad that you spent some time sharing a little bit about your role, what you do on the international board, and of course, encouraging the leadership within our district. We will continue our series with club officers, so please make sure to check out our YouTube video series of CKIs with leaders.